my sister Tina, my older sister, was 6 months old. She contracted pneumonia. My parents were told what no parent ever wants to hear, that she would survive, but that she'd never be the same. And yet, you can see here that Tina still looked the same. So hope remained that maybe the doctor was wrong. However, as Tina got older, she missed developmental milestones, and it became obvious that she was not going to be the same. And unfortunately, they didn't have the expertise and the knowledge that they have nowadays to intervene in a situation like my beautiful sister Tina. And so she retreated into her own world, a world which I still know very little about today, a world where my older sister has never, ever spoken to me. And yet, despite this retreat into a world of her own, when Tina would hear a piece of music or a song that she would like, she would pause, peace would come across her face, and generally she would stare into some beautiful place, one that she could see, and a slow smile would spread across her face, and you could feel her joy and see it. And we could feel the joy as a family. And this was very, very special for us. To this end, the Muppets in Manhattan was on repeat in our house all the way through my childhood. And I could still tell you the words of all the songs because the joy and the connection that we could feel with Tina. And I suppose at that tender age, that's when I first realised that music had the power to penetrate all boundaries regardless. Music has no regard for filters. Age, gender, social status, race, ability, whether it's through listening or whether it's through vibration, music penetrates into our very soul. And it's so powerful. And it's within all of us. And yet it's probably one of the most underused skills that we as human beings ever use. So why is it that we all have this superpower inside us? We all have this music, and yet we don't use it. Well, in order to explain this, I am going to go back to my own childhood because that's the easiest way. And I still remember when I was probably around 3, swinging on the swing in my back garden as high as I could, much to my mother's distress. But the joy and the emotion, the sheer freedom of swinging up and down in the air was accompanied for me by singing Do Dear at the top of my voice. That was our favourite family vinyl. And I had no regard for who could hear me. Was I disturbing the neighbours? Was it in tune? Was it out of tune? I didn't care. I just had this expression from within me that I wanted to let out through music. And every child is instinctively born knowing that they have this power, expressing it to just generate some sort of emotion that they're feeling at that moment in time. And yet, the world is built on obedience and compliance, and so we are taught to silence this song, this natural instinct of musicality inside us. Because the world doesn't want us to be all empowered, a group of people going around singing their hearts out. That wouldn't work with the current system. And so we are told a lie. We are told that we are not musical. We are taught to forget our musicality. And even though I could sing, I too was taught to silence my voice. I was bullied all the way through my school years because of my music. And I learned that when I sang, I would draw scorn from both children and adults. But I kept performing. However, I learned to equate performing with this scorn of bullying. And so I became a perfectionist about my performance. I became really critical about every single note I sang, so that if one of them was out of tune, it became not a good experience. And so the joy was gone from the music. And that's my experience of it. But I'm sure you have experience of it as well. I've talked to millions of people about this. Some people, when I told them I was doing a TED Talk on music, they were like, oh, that's not for me. I'm not musical. How many people can go back to their school times and remember being told, actually it'd be really good if you just played the tambourine rather than sing that song? Well, you're a bit of a non-singer there, aren't you? Or maybe this just isn't for you. Most people could give me some sort of a story. And what happens is we learn to put music into this category of elitism. For those people who are really talented, for those people who are lucky enough to be given lessons outside school, to have the money to afford it and hone in their musical talents. And the rest of us, our place is to sit and to watch this musical performance from these talented people. But we're not them. Don't you dare try and join that. And that's where we tend to put music. And this is a lie. This is wrong. Because we are all musical. It is like a superpower inside us all. And it's one that we need to remember. Now, I've mentioned superpower a couple of times, and I have to divulge to you that superheroes are my thing. I love superheroes. And I love the superhero films. And I still do. Whether it's Superman, Supergirl, Superwoman, all the Marvel heroes, Star Trek, Star Wars. I remember sitting in the cinema when Superman came on with my arms out like this, thinking I could help him. I will help him fly. Because watching the superhero taking out their superpower was just so exhilarating. And then when the bad guy would come along and take the superpower away, you'd be really upset. And you'd be willing them on so that they get their superpower back and save the world and save the day. And yet we are those superheroes on earth with our bag of superhero stuff. And I love the word stuff because it means nothing and it means everything. And we need multitudes of things in order to survive the life, the world. Because life is hard. Life is full of challenges. And there's no escaping that because that's life. Whether they're heartache, whether it's losing somebody, whether it's a wonderful experience, you're still waiting for the next challenge to come along, and it does come along. But we have not been put on this world helpless, with nothing to help us along the way. We have been given our own superpowers. And it must be very frustrating for everyone watching us not using our superpowers. One of them, my passion, which is music. Music can help you to heal emotions during those life's challenges. Music can be there and journey along with you to help you process those emotions rather than pent them up inside, to deal with these challenges. Music is your superpower, whether you know it or not. And so we come to the part of where I'm here talking to you about music, and I'm standing here in this red dot, dressed pretty much in black, my two favourite colours, and they tend to be superhero colours as well. And so with this in mind, I'm going to challenge you all here in the audience and everywhere in the world to think right now at this moment, whilst you're listening to me, of your favourite song or piece of music. Now I can see you're all scrambling in your brain going, yeah, but what is my favourite song? Oh my God, Catherine is challenging us now. And you're probably correct, because there's probably loads of favourite songs. In fact, I'm sure there is. Because whether you realise it or not, you have a soundtrack going on in the back of your life all the time. It's the soundtrack of your life, your soundtrack, your song. We know we have songs that remind us of our first dance, our first kiss, a person who maybe is departed now, a place, a favourite holiday. Music can transport you, much like the transporter in Star Trek, straight back to that person, to that place, instantly. And your soundtrack is your own special, unique one, unique to you. And rather than just coming across it, I would love, and this is what I dedicate my life work to, love if everybody would take their soundtrack and use it when they need it. Use it during life's challenges. Use it to accompany you on your journey. I want you to all find your special place, like my sister, smiling when you see that and hear that piece of music that's brought you back to something that is healing and gives you sustenance to get through life. You are your own superhero. You have your own soundtrack. Take your superpowers and sing your own songs. Thank you.